This is Stay Paid, the marketing podcast that gives listeners a competitive edge to stay motivated, find inspiration, and discover proven real-world tactics from some of the best marketers across the nation.
Welcome to another Silver Dollar episode of Stay Paid. My name is Joshua Stike.
And I'm Luke Akery.
And we are now on part 3 of our lead generation series here. We're going to wrap this up. We started off with this podcast about a month ago saying, we'll do all 4 of these in one episode. We didn't get past the first one. Last episode, we did the second one. This one, we're going to wrap up the last 2 tips here. But the first one that we want to jump right into is this idea of, should you hire an ISA to follow up with your Facebook leads, or really any leads, but we're talking specifically about Facebook leads. So when is it a right time to actually hire an ISA to help you out with this?
When you don't have the time to make the calls, or you don't have a sophisticated, it doesn't even have to be super sophisticated, but some type of drip program going consistently, you definitely should hire an ISA or stop Facebook ads. Because most people say they're going to make the calls. This has been our experience when we launched Facebook ads. Most people, we give them the scripts, we tell them how many calls to make, we tell them what calls to sequence to make it in, and they still don't make the calls because it's the hard thing to do.
Or they call them once,
and
didn't
they
answer.
stop, right?
Call them maybe twice, didn't answer, and they stop.
So you should, an ISA, if you're going to spend money on Zillow leads, Facebook leads, internet leads in general, you must follow up with them and you must have somebody that makes the calls. And so I would encourage you, if you are all in on internet leads, because it is a great source of leads, right? But they are top of the funnel, middle of the funnel leads. And 70% of these leads are going to take way longer than 6 months, 6+ months to actually close. Maybe 30% of these leads will close for you within 6 months. Majority are going to be more than 6 months. So that's going to take a lot of nurturing. I was listening to an interview, and this guy had 90,000 leads across his brokerages in a database. And they looked at the average length of time of conversion of these leads from hitting the database, hitting the system, to conversion. 300 days for buyer's leads, 330 days for listing leads.
Yeah.
So think about that, almost a year to convert. So if you don't have an ISA, if you don't have a system that is dripping, that is following up, you are wasting your time and your money. That's why you should get an ISA if you're committed to your follow-up.
So that's definitely something, obviously if you're in your own business and not able to make those follow-up calls. I did do a little bit of research on it. Here's the general guidance. If you're consistently working a pipeline of approximately 500 to 1,000 leads at a time, which is a mix of new and old leads, you should look at hiring an ISA, and you should be able to provide that ISA about 300 new leads every month. So what is that? That's 10 new leads a day.
Sense, yeah.
To keep them busy working those top tier leads while working the older leads. And another tip that we'll throw in there.
And that's if they were full-time for you.
Yeah, if they're full-time.
Yeah, you can also hire a company to call part-time for you. Basically hire an ISA on their team and they call your leads.
Yeah. And the way that we looked at this was kind of like, how much activity do you need to actually get a return on your investment with an ISA? And that was pretty much it. The general rule of thumb that I found is you're looking for a 5x investment on your ISA. So it's costing you $80,000 to hire an ISA. You're going to want $400,000 back in GCI. The other thing, though, to throw in there, if you're looking at getting an ISA, you've got to have a good CRM. You have to have a way to be able to tag these leads.
Great point.
Pass those leads off to your ISA or assign them independently, and then have the system where that ISA can pass those leads back to your agent, because their goal is to get an appointment with your agents.
Great point. We hired both an internal ISA, like a stateside full-time employee ISA for my brother's team to test ISAs. And we also hired a outsourced ISA. So partnering with a company called Novo is what they're called. And we're working with this guy's in, I believe, the Philippines is where he's at. So we've been working with that and kind of testing both ones. So it's been a really interesting process to see. Both that we've seen, though, through both of them, is that the real benefit of an ISA is they're mining the data.
Yeah.
So the ISA, and I could be like, I would love people's experiences if they have hired really, really good sales people, ISAs, but we're realizing like, it's not as much the salesmanship in that like call of like, wow, Josh turned Luke from a no to a yes. Like that doesn't happen. Or Josh actually convinced Luke to do this. It's more of Josh found Luke, stayed with Luke long enough to make sure he followed through on getting to the pre-approval with the mortgage lender, or followed through to get it transferred to Cody on the team. Like, that is what we've learned. It's like the mining of the data.
Very similar to the automation like we talked about last episode, where like the whole point of the automation is, no, you're not going to close deals through automation, but what you're doing is you're basically going through and capturing the cream of the crop, the ones that are sitting there that are actually replying to you.
It doesn't mean, so I'll add some clarity there. I don't know where you want it to go next, but I'll add clarity.
No,
you want to find people who can communicate well. One of the biggest things that we looked for in outsourcing is someone who could speak the English language well and that could understand just the, I don't know what you call it, not the dialect, but like the culture of like speaking the Western culture.
Vernacular?
Yeah, the vernacular, like understood the tonality, inflection. And so we looked for that in the outsourced ISA that we hired. Because whenever you get a call from somebody and you can tell this person doesn't really speak English, your brain immediately goes to international call center. You don't give them the time of day. It doesn't feel personal, and you're in a personal business. So that's one thing we looked for, which we were able to find. Like, Ron is amazing from that perspective. And the thing about the like stateside versus the outsourced is we found that, yes, stateside is easier for training. Outsource is better for cost, right? So kind of obvious, but stateside is better for training. Outsource is better for cost.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, number 4 is, and you alluded to this a little bit earlier, but that is one of the biggest things that we've seen our own clients fail on is giving up too early. This is something that you want to stick with. You don't want to give up too soon. Conversion rates, just to give you an idea, these again are for Facebook leads. National Association of Realtors says you should expect anywhere from 0.4% to 1.2%. Those were the statistics from 2022. Now we've seen a little bit higher with some of our clients than 0.4%, a little less than 0.5% there. Incubation rate, I've looked at stats that said anywhere from 3 to 6 months. I think that is very fast. I think that's having way too high expectations. Other studies have said 6 to 24 months, which is more in line with what you were talking about.
The guy that I was listening to, 90,000 leads, and then this other guy that he was interviewing, I think they had 100 real estate agents they were calling for, 17 reps calling, and they were like 70% of the leads will close 6+ months.
Okay, yeah.
Right, that's where his stats were.
Which really just shows you how important it is to have a nurture program in place. It aligns
with Steven's experience too.
Nice, yeah. Look, if you want to break it down to what's your potential return on investment with Facebook ads, or what we would call ROAS, so return on ad spend, any sort of ROAS benchmark would be a 4 to 1. So you want to basically 4x your income from what you're spending on ads. So if you look at just what we've done with one of our agents as an example, we went back and looked at last year's stats, 1,500 leads, $18,000 in ad spend, 15 deals from that in the same year. That was a 564% ROAS. Now, since then, they've actually closed more since those leads generated in that year. So ultimately, it's going to be even greater. I think it's probably like up to 800 to 900% now on Steven's leads that he's gotten from all of the deals that he generated from previous years. So it just speaks to your ability to call the leads, make sure that you stick with them or hire some help there. Make sure you have good automation in place so that you're getting the people that are replying, kind of filtering out those looky-loos or the people that gave you bad information. And then make sure that you have a good nurture program in place, because those people will come back and you're investing good money into them.
Yep, 100%. I will tell you, even get back with the ISA, this is don't give up. The fortune's in the follow-up, right? People give up too soon. The ISA, just the stats we would give them, like the metrics, is they needed to call at least 250 people a day or get 8 nurtures or 2 transfers, right? Because they're doing live transfers. So that right there shows you how much follow-up we're doing on these leads, because every day they're doing 250 plus calls to this pool of leads that we're generating off of Facebook and stuff like that. And that's what people don't understand. It's like there is no magic formula you're missing. There's no way to create a lead that doesn't require the grind. I just want to encourage you, whatever leads you're getting, it requires the grind. This is why the majority of this business is built off of what? Sphere of influence and referrals. Yeah. Because you're not actually even aware you've put in all the follow-up effort. It's a relationship. Think of all the years you've known that person. That was follow-up. That was like making a phone call. You're trying to take that to a Facebook lead, which is anonymous, doesn't know you, and you have to compress it. That's why you have to call 18 times in a short amount of time. That's why you have to send emails. That's why you have to grind it out, because you're trying to build rapport. You're trying to build name brand recognition. You're trying to build a relationship with somebody that you don't know. Your referrals, the reason why it does so well is because you've built that over years. You just got to apply that to your Facebook ads or your Facebook leads that are coming in, your Zillow leads, knowing, hey, I got to stay on this person.
Yeah. Keep in mind, every new client that you get through those Facebook leads also allows you to add them to your database, becomes a referral source for you, and continues to add to that additional pool of relationships that you've worked so hard to build. But I do want to say, we do offer Facebook ad services. If that's something that you're interested in, over at remindermedia.com/staypaidfollowup. But if you're not working your database first and foremost, dripping on your current leads or prospecting, focus on relationships first.
Yes.
Focus on relationships. We can help you build stronger relationships with your Sphere and past clients on autopilot with our branded magazines. This is a truly unique way to stand out in direct mail, making it past the trash can, landing on the coffee tables of your best clients and partners, all for the less than a Hallmark card with our branded magazines. You can request a free sample over at remindermedia.com/staypaidmagazine so you never lose another client or referral again. Thank you so much for listening to Stay Paid. You can head on over to staypaidpodcast.com for the show notes and video of this episode. And if you like this episode and want to show your support, head on over to Apple Podcasts, drop us a 5-star review. And the best way to show your support and help out the show is simply share this episode with a friend. And look, if this business doesn't work out, you could always change careers. I've thought about that. I've always wanted to be a Gregorian monk. Yeah, I just never got the chance.
Went over my head.
Yeah, I don't get that one either. No.
Chance, CHANTS, the chance. I never got the chance.
Oh my gosh.
I got it.
There it is. All right.
You're welcome, everybody. If you want to get a hold of me or Luke, you can email us at podcast@remindermedia.com, or you can find us on social media. We are at Stay Paid Podcast. For this episode of Stay Paid, I'm sorry for that dad joke, and I'm also Joshua Stike.
And I'm Luke Acree. Guys, your action item from this, if you don't have an ISA, your action item is it's the fortunes and the follow-up, right? You have to follow up to your leads. You know that. You have to not give up. Most leads don't convert for 300 days. Think about that, right? So you got to stay consistent. If you're looking at doing an ISA, I would encourage you. We're seeing great success right now with having an outsourced ISA mine through the data. They are not going to be the person that closes that deal on the phone for you, but they're going to be the person that finds the gold in your bucket and can serve it up to you saying, hey, this person's a real qualified lead. So you can take action on that. Remember, the difference between top producers and mediocre producers in every single business is top producers take action. Take action today.